Moses murdered a man because he was treating an Israelite slave harshly, and he had to flee to the land of Midian, which is most likely on the Arabian coast. And there he married a woman named Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro, and he had children with this woman. But as we all know, God contacted Moses and told him that he would return to Egypt and lead the Israelites out of slavery. The Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. And it came to pass by the way in the inn that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah his wife took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son, and cast it at his feet, and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me. So he let him go. Then she said, A bloody husband thou art, because of the circumcision. And then the chapter goes on to tell the story of how Moses met his brother Aaron, and they went into Egypt. Many people are confused about this passage because there's very little context given. There are many, many details that are left out. And so people are left to wonder what this means. So this video is an attempt to explain. In Genesis 17, we learn about circumcision. God told Abraham, I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, and their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. I will give unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant which ye shall keep, between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man-child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man-child in your generations. He that is born in the house, or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man-child, whose flesh of this foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. So circumcision is actually not the covenant. Circumcision is just the token of the covenant. For example, God told Noah that he would not destroy the world with a flood. That was the covenant. But the token of the covenant was the rainbow. So the covenant that God gave Abraham was that he would give Abraham's descendants the land of Canaan, and he would be their God. So here's Moses returning to Egypt to lead the people out of slavery, and his son is not circumcised. Moses was in charge of leading the people out of Egypt so that they could eventually return to the promised land. So in God's eyes, it was unacceptable that his son would not be circumcised. So now we go to this story where God is preparing to kill Moses, and Zipporah circumcises her son, and God lets Moses go. What does this mean? Well, it's very, very important to understand that Zipporah was not an Israelite. Now, Zipporah was descended from Abraham, but remember, the covenant was given to the children of Sarah, who were the descendants of Isaac. So the Israelites knew about circumcision, and they kept that token of the covenant. But the Midianites, who were also descended from Abraham, they didn't practice the tradition of circumcision. So Zipporah just didn't know about circumcision. So apparently, what happened is God came to Moses and told him that he would have to circumcise his son. But when Moses told his wife, Zipporah, about this, she absolutely refused. I once heard a man say that getting between a mother and son is worse than getting between a rock and a hard place. Put yourself in Zipporah's shoes. Somebody comes to you and tells you that you have to cut the genitals of your baby. If that were me, if I were in her place, I would say, that's not going to happen. In fact, in California, where I live, have actually tried to make circumcision illegal. And when I hear this, my initial thought is anger. I think, who are these people to tell Jews and Christians what they can do with their kids? But if I were in their shoes, I would probably feel the same way because, again, they don't know the benign nature of circumcision. And they don't trust in the God of the Christians or the Jews. So to them, it would just be considered genital mutilation. So you can't blame Zipporah for feeling the way that she did. And this really shows you the strife that can occur when two people of different faiths marry. You can imagine the arguments that they had. So Zipporah absolutely refused to let Moses circumcise her son. But God told Moses that if you don't do this, I'm going to kill you. Now again, the scriptures don't tell us this. All of these details are left out, and that's why people are so confused by this. But sometimes there are a lot of details in the Bible that are left out. That's just the way it is. Sometimes we get a lot of detail in the scriptures, and sometimes we don't get much. That's the way it is with any historical record. The writers choose to focus on certain things. So Moses and Zipporah knew that God was threatening to kill Moses. And so the time came, and we're told that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. And Zipporah disdainfully circumcised her child because she knew that God was serious. He was going to destroy her husband. So for all those out there who wonder what this passage means, that is the context of the passage.